Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold. Touchdown! Every hit, every play.
Welcome to the NFL.
Every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Appreciate everybody tuning into the Dome Discussions Podcast, part of Be in the Know Network. I am your host, Kyle Besson, today joined by Caleb Yacarino, Nick Jennings, Andrew Collins. Today, as we preview the 0-3 Saints versus the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. Obviously, a nail-biter coming up as the Saints are going to travel into Buffalo to take on the high-powered Bills, obviously led by Josh Allen. Before we get into the game preview, we're going to talk over some injury stuff, talk about maybe what injuries concern us. I think obviously for the Saints, the biggest news is Chase Young. It remains out, is not practiced yet, not once this season. This would be his fourth game missed this year, which means he could have gone on IR to start the season and saved a roster spot. I know that's one thing that's been controversial is it was thought to be maybe a 1-2 week injury, keep him out for a short period of time. And it's coming up on a quarter of the season for him already. For the Saints, they did get good news. Taliese Fonga and Trevor Penning have both returned in full, practice in full, and my guess is they would both be ready for Sunday. And I know I talked about this in the past. This is going to be the first time that you get your full offensive line on the field, or your training camp starters on the field. And Devon Vele and Trey Palmer both also limited with injuries. For the Bills, it's defensive end AJ Espinosa. He is still dealing with an injury. He has been limited. And Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, and Spencer Brown all not practicing for the Bills as well. Some pretty big names in there, and especially Ed Oliver. He was dominant to start the year. He looked scary. And for them to have him, I believe he was out last week and possibly week 2 as well. So this would go on to the third game missed for him this season, and he's been dominant, especially against I believe it was Ravens, right? The Ravens. He looked great. So to not have him there would help the Saints a lot. Start off with you, Nick. Maybe tell us like an injury that you're kind of looking at, something that's disappointing you, or maybe something that you're hopeful on the Bills side.
Yeah, well, looking at Chase Young, it's gone from there being no concern at all to wondering when he'll see the field again. Like you said, the Saints may have been able to place him on IR. It wasn't expected that he would miss 4 weeks. Kellen Moore has said that he's progressing well, but just having a calf injury, they can be tricky sometimes. So we're definitely going to be monitoring that one. The defensive line is just so much better when Chase Young's on the field, and I feel like in this scheme he could really thrive this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing him out there. With Taliese Fuaga, he's been dealing with a knee injury and a back injury this season. He was day-to-day this week, was available at Wednesday's practice and upgraded to a full participant for Thursday's practice. That's great to see, especially because you're banking on him on that left side. And Trevor Penning, he's looking to make his debut this season, was available on Sunday in an emergency capacity, but just didn't end up seeing the field. He's hopefully he'll be cleared for Buffalo, and it looks like that'll be the case. So we'll be able to see the Saints' full starting offensive line, and I honestly can't wait to see it, especially since the Bills are allowing a league high. I believe they're allowing They're allowing a league high 468 rushing yards and 6.2 yards per carry. So if the Saints have their full offensive line at full strength and can finally pound the ball on the ground, they might be able to find some success there. It's been the Bills' weakness, and Alvin Kamara has looked good this season, so they have to take advantage of having this offensive line back.
Yeah, before I go kind of into my one player that I'm focusing on the injury report, I think it's kind of important to talk about Chase Young a little bit more. And it kind of reminds me of old Saints injuries where it felt like let's say Marshawn Lattimore had a hamstring injury, and it was like, okay, he's injured for a week, and then he's out for another week. And then he's out for another week. And you're kind of just like, why is he still out? I don't know if it's a rehab thing. I don't know if it's because I don't think Chase Young's like slacking, trying to get the injury back in any way, shape, or form. Like, I could not see Chase Young do that. I know there's always been a question around him with motivation issues during the games, but like, I haven't seen that as a Saint. And I just don't think like that's an issue. I honestly think it's just a lingering issue. And why bring him back early? Like, why rush him when we all know the season is kind of what it is? I know people are clamoring for him to be back and also criticizing him. I don't do that. That's not what's kind of happening here. I think it's the coaching staff being careful. and that's all it is. But I do want to more focus on Trevor Penning because I still have the mindset with Penning, even though that he's healthy, that he should not be starting next game. I think Torricelli Simpkins had a strong game last week. I know the Seahawks destroyed the Saints, and I said a lot after the game, but Simpkins was kind of one of those pretty solid pieces during the game, even with Kelvin Banks struggling at left tackle, which is not something you usually see. So I wouldn't really change that. And also for the long term, I said it last week. I think I said it in the pre-show also, having Torricelli Simpkins as a piece for the long run is better than kind of figuring that out with Penning this year and then not being able to re-sign him in this offseason. Yes.
I play devil's advocate here.
Of course.
Torricelli Simpkins had 5 total pressures given up, a team low 24.2 pass block grade, a team low PFF grade, and a holding penalty on Sunday.
In game, I agree. In game, he didn't look as bad because I will say Kelvin Banks, it doesn't help that Kelvin Banks had probably the worst game of his career. Like, he was struggling out there. And this was kind of something which it's kind of weird because I'm also saying Dylan Radins, when he comes back, he shouldn't come in. But with the Titans, when Dylan Radins had to play guard, the tackle play was so bad that his grades fell because he couldn't cover 2 people. So it was him trying to help and then giving up plays. I understand that. And I also give Simpkins benefit of the doubt because it was his first pro game. But I think I saw enough where I could see Penning do that next game also.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be Penning's first pro game at guard also. And he didn't look great during the preseason. So, like, he looks fine, but not great. So I think it's kind of the Quincy Riley, Isaac Adam conversation a little bit where, like, you want to see the young player kind of be the better player and kind of see what you have. Because if Simpkins isn't anything and you don't feel comfortable, now you know you need to get another guard no matter what. But if he is, then you don't have to get a left guard, maybe right guard, but you don't have to get a left guard.
Yeah, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He did go up against Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams in his first ever start in the NFL, which is a deadly interior of the defensive line. So, I mean, what can you really ask for an undrafted free agent in that position?
I want to go back on Nick's devil advocate because I know you're saying, Caleb, you want to see what you have in Simpkins, right? But wouldn't you want to see what you have in the guy on an expiring contract first and then see if you could bring back Simpkins? Like, you don't know what Trevor Penning is at guard right now. You probably want to figure that out. He is the better high-end. He is the better athlete. You want to figure out if Penning can be your starter at guard before his contract runs out and then figure out Simpkins. He's a young guy. He's a rookie or?
Yep.
Simpkins is young. Yeah, he's a rookie, right? He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Saints will have a chance to keep him on the roster compared to Penning. Someone's going to scoop Penning up pretty quickly if the Saints don't. He is a hell of an athlete, no matter. And as a former first-round pick, hell of an athlete, and as a run blocker, no matter what throughout his career, he's been solid there. So I think the Saints start Penning if Penning's ready to go. Find out if Penning can start at guard for you, and then go on to the Simpkins conversation from there.
So I think I've thought of that. Like, that was kind of like the main thing I came in thinking of when I had this kind of argument. The reason that, because I could definitely see that, like, that's 100% a thought process, but the only reason I disagree with that thought process personally and why I think the Saints should just go with Simpkins is because if Penning does do well, I honestly think the Saints get priced out in the offseason because I don't think the Saints should overpay for Penning when we've seen them overpay for Ruiz with a contract extension. And we know how volatile Penning's injury history and just play has been in his career. Like, I just don't think it's worth the risk to handicap your cap like that. And I also think that you kind of know what you have in Penning, and I think it could kind of be a false positive almost, where if he does do well and then you sign him and you don't draft a guard, which I think would be the stupidest thing ever, then he doesn't play well and you're stuck with him and it's this whole thing. While I think with Simpkins, it's like, I'd rather just see him do well or not do well so I have an answer what I need to do in the offseason.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, especially I like the Cesar Ruiz comparison as well. I know the Saints probably that move hasn't aged well. And it is to note, Penning is 26, so he's not exactly the youngest. He's a little older than I thought, honestly. I thought he was a younger prospect coming out with how raw he is. He is 26. And let me see when his birthday was. Was he turning 27 this season? It's not telling me, but he's 26, so he is a little bit of an older player for the Saints. So yeah, if you want to go to the younger route, going after Simpkins would be the right way. But we haven't seen Penning play a season at guard yet, so we don't know what he is. And I'm sure he is going to be the one to get the start if he is ready and healthy. I mean, he was the starter in training camp and all that, so I think the Saints are going to give him his chance, see what they have, and then go to Simpkins after. I love how this turned from injury report to the Trevor Penning thing. But is there anything for you, Drew, that you would like to go for at the injury report before we get right into it?
The person I would kind of keep my eye on is Devon Vele. The Saints were without him last week, and against this Bills pass rush, they are going to be getting after Spencer Rattler. He's going to not have much time in the pocket, I anticipate. Who knows? Maybe if Trevor Penning comes back, he elevates the offensive line, he can sit in the pocket, but I just kind of highly doubt that with Greg Rousseau and Oliver being out would be huge for that. But I still think Rattler is going to need that big-bodied possession receiver, and I think Devon Bailey will be that for this game. I think he's going to have a huge opportunity if he could play, be that middle-of-the-field threat. If they get in the red zone, he'll be a great option there. So, yeah, I think him coming back would be absolutely massive for the Saints' success.
I mean, if he's out, it's the same thing as last week. If he's out, like, you got so much taken away from this offense. And I mean, you saw Jack Stoll be a big catch threat kind of last week because they didn't have LA. And like, if he is out or if the Saints do feel like he's going to be out, I want them to sign someone else. Like, now, I'm not saying Michael Thomas because I don't think that the bridge has been burned. The bridge has been burned. There's no way if it happens, I'd be happy, but there's no way it's going to happen. So like, I don't know what the current free agent pool is right now, but like sign someone just to see during practice and throw them out there if they can. If Trey Palmer is also injured, but like
maybe a Donovan Jones.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, I don't know, but someone.
It has to be somebody that was in this offense. It's Friday, man. You sign somebody.
Oh yeah, it is Friday. What am I saying? So,
hey man, good luck.
I don't know.
Marquez Callaway.
I'd say it's more possible that Kevin Austin Jr. brought up in the practice squad.
Yeah, I mean Kevin Austin Jr. was getting he was
getting
getting a lot of snaps last week. I think I don't know if there was a roster move with him, but like also I can't think of the tight end's name. Third string.
Trey Welch.
Mataval?
Yeah, Trey Welch.
Oh.
I think is Mataval on the team again? Did we resign? I'm pretty sure.
This week.
But still, Trey Welch, use him in the offense, and I'm happy because I honestly think he could. Like, I think he's a better contested catch threat than Jack Stoll. I don't know if he's better than or contested catch threat as Juwan Johnson. I think Juwan Johnson's better. Let me just say that. But I think that Trey Welch can just add a little bit something to this offense. Like, I think that's another person that kind of should be playing a little bit more just because I feel like in preseason, I mean, the catch with Tyler Shuck and like, you had something there. You might as well see it because I think that's going to help the tight end room also. So like that could help if Devon Bailey's out, but I really think if Devon Bailey's out, like it's going to be another struggle for this offense.
Yeah, Devon Bailey's out. I was just looking at the free agent pool. There's obviously not a lot at this point of the season, but you still have got Equanimeous St. Brown, who spent time with the Saints this offseason, who, yeah, he wouldn't be great in that role, but he's someone. But I don't know. Outside of that, you really need him to be playing.
Yeah, and I'd like to actually go back to the tight end room. I'd actually argue that the Saints need to get Jack Stoll more involved. He was great on Sunday, had 2 receptions for 21 yards, led the team with a 90.4 receiving grade, had that beautiful connection with Spencer Rattler in the back of the end zone. Really good touchdown there. We saw this offseason training camp, him and Spencer Rattler, they were probably one of the biggest duos in all of training camp. They were just finding each other in the end zone. The connection was there. I'd like to see that translate to the game, to game days, especially because Jack Stoll is much needed now, especially with, obviously it's been a while now, but Dallin Holker's retirement, he had a huge role in this offense. And now we've kind of been questioning the depth in the tight end room. And look, I've been saying it since Dallin Holker retired that I think Jack Stoll needs to be that guy, and I still do think that. And he had a great game on Sunday against the Seahawks. I only expect him to build on that on Sunday against the Bills.
And with Jack Stoll, I mean, we talked about it so much because that's receiving is not even his game.
No.
He's doing well, but that's not his game. He's like run blocking tight end and one hell of a run blocking tight end. We've seen it multiple times this season already where he's engaged a blocker and that's just raps for him. It could be a linebacker. I mean, he's not getting off of a Jack Stoll block. So that's 100% having Jack Stoll involved where, you throw Jack Stoll out there, right? There's tells in offenses, right? If Jack Stoll's out there 4 times and you run the football 4 times, it starts to become a tell. So if he could start becoming a threat as a receiver or a bigger threat as a receiver where he can go out there, catch the ball, and it's not an indicator to the defense that you want to run the ball, that just makes the offense more versatile and lethal.
And it would definitely be a change in his career trajectory. Through 4 years with Philadelphia, he only had 23 catches for 198 yards and never scored a touchdown. So took him 3 games to score a touchdown with the Saints and be involved in the pass game. So it's good to see.
Yeah, and back to the Vele injury, he was limited. So he was, I believe he was limited last week as well and just ended up not coming through and playing. Or he was limited for a bit, went down as a DNP.
I believe he was a game day decision as well.
Yeah, so he had the chance. He had the chance to play. So, being limited again this week and having a chance to play last week, at least we might see him in a limited capacity against the Bills, again. But it is a player that I'd like to see out there because we saw, I'll keep talking about it. I haven't seen it since Michael Thomas. A slant route, man. I haven't seen a slant route where you box out the cornerback that well since Saints had Michael Thomas on this team. It's an aspect of the offense that the Saints are just completely missing, is that over the middle of the field. And look, we didn't get to see much of anything last week. I wouldn't say fault much. You're down 21-0. It's kind of hard to do anything at that point. As long as the Saints don't go down 21-0 again, I think we see a more clean, this isn't a bold prediction. I just think the Saints see a better game this week. It's against a way better team, but to go down 21-0 that early, that is niche. Like, that doesn't happen that often, and you have to play really, really bad for that to happen. I can't see that happening twice. So to get Devon Vele involved in the offense again and have him take up that role like he did again week 2, hopefully he's healthy. But let's go ahead and go to our preview now because we basically did a lot of previewing here already. But let's go to our preview. Is the Bills are now 3-0. They're top of the AFC East. The Saints are 0-3, bottom of the NFC South. Bills are averaging 34 points per game. What they are allowing 24 points per game. Their defense hasn't been that great to start the season. A lot of that comes from their week 1 win where they allowed the Ravens to put up 40 points or 41 points, one of those two. And for the Saints offense, they are 16 points per game. So it was 18 points less than the Bills offense, 18 points per game less than the Bills 34 points per game. And they are allowing 33 points per game. They did because of the big loss last week. But the Saints haven't really – they're complete opposite, right? They haven't been able to do much on offense, and their defense hasn't been stopping it. They're averaging 102 rush yards per game and 213 passing yards per game. Not the worst numbers in the world. You probably want to get those up a little bit, but Saints offense just isn't clicking right now. The defense hasn't been able to stop a whole lot. What is kind of some things that you guys are looking for in this game that the Saints can do better and hopefully will do better? And then probably don't say penalties right away because we'll probably get into that one later.
Yeah, so there's actually 2 things that I will be looking at on Sunday. First is how the Saints fare against Josh Allen. Obviously, Josh Allen, Brandon Staley said that there's a lot of things that you have to game plan for when facing Josh Allen. The Saints are also playing more zone in the NFL than anybody, and Josh Allen is 74.5% completion percentage with 495 yards and 7.2 yards per attempt against zone. He's dominating it. He's the best in the league at it. So that's going to be something to watch against the Saints' struggling secondary. Hopefully Kool-Aid McKinstry can bounce back against Keon Coleman. I'd like to see Quincy Riley out there. Isaac Yiadom still, just please get him off the field. Let's get that comp pick and get Quincy Riley some development. And the second thing I'll be looking at is getting Chris Olave in the game, getting him involved. Chris Olave, he's one of the top players in the NFL in 10 targets on passes of 10-plus yards. He's 5th. He has 5 catches, and PFF charted 5 of those passes to be catchable. So the Saints have to be on the same page. Chris Olave has had 10-plus targets each of the first 3 games. They're getting him the ball. They just aren't coming up with the finishing play, and that has to happen if you want the Saints offense to get going. And if you aren't going to get Olave involved, you have to get Rashid Shaheed involved. Shaheed has not been as involved as initially thought he would be to start the season. Obviously, he had that touchdown earlier in the season, but that's about all we've seen from him. It took about the second half of that game to even get him involved. So I'd like to see him get involved. He's the best playmaker on this offense. If you put the ball in his hands, he's going to do something with it. You just have to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback on that, the defensive back conversation, because if Kool-Aid's on Keon Coleman, I don't like that matchup. Like, I think you kind of need to take Kool-Aid off of Keon Coleman. I don't think we saw it with Marvin Harrison, who's had a bounce back game last night, but been struggling. Like, now it kind of looks worse week one. And I think Kool-Aid just needs to be put on someone else. But also, I recently in an article, it was released. There was comments from Isaac Adam, and like, I'm not turning the page on like, hey, Isaac Adam needs to be taken off the field, because I still think that's the truth. But he was fully honest about knowing that Quincy Riley's right behind him, and he even said how he's totally fine with when Quincy Riley comes in to be that veteran for him and go behind Riley and really like nurture him to become a good corner. That is everything I wanted to hear from Adam. That is amazing to hear, because there's people in the NFL that are more arrogant and do not want to be taken off the field and are not, even when a veteran, they can't deal with that. This is literally why you sign him. This is amazing. So just kind of with that DB talk, I definitely want Quincy Riley in this game. It's a test for his first real pro game, let me tell you. But if you want to see what you have, throw him to the fire, because this is what it is. The other conversation I want to have, and kind of my focus in this game, is this notion of Kellen Moore wanting to start fast. And I think there's an issue with saying you want to start fast. In the offseason, I'm pretty sure this is something that I remember, is that I think the Saints watched like NBA Finals highlights with the Pacers and how they played with pace. And that's this new thing that they're trying to do. They're trying to get ahead of the curve and have this new thing in the NFL. I'm fine with that. You can play with pace. I honestly have warmed up to that. I think it's smart. I've warmed up to it. I think the statement of you need to start fast needs to be changed to you need to start strong. You can play with pace. That's fine. But the first drive of the Seahawks game went like that. I mean, I turned on the TV and we punted the ball. Like I watched the kickoff. I was like, how did it go so fast? Or we went out for it on fourth. Like, I was like, how the drive ended so fast. You could play with pace, but kind of like run the ball. You still need to get the offense into groove. You can start strong and play fast, but if you play fast and kind of just throw the beginning game plan out and it just kind of goes away like that, that's not how it works. So I think I would love for the Saints to run the ball as much as they can on this first drive. Do not give Spencer Rattler a lot of pressure on this first drive. I loved implementing play actions last game. That was new. That's not something we've seen. So implement some more play actions on that first drive. Just get Spencer Rattler comfortable. And also don't let this defense get momentum early. Don't let them do that. Let them tire them out as soon as you can. And do you know how you do that? Run the ball and go fast. That's everything the Saints want to do, but I just think the connotation of saying start fast needs to be start strong, but play with pace.
Yeah, I want 100% talk, because actually this is the Saints. The Saints need to actually do that. They need to play fast this week. They need to do that offense. They need to have, because you're going into Buffalo. You are going into Buffalo, some of the craziest fans in the league. I think we all remember the 2018 NFC Championship game for the Saints, where you're screaming through TV timeouts. I mean, that is just Buffalo. That's just who they are. They do that no matter what game it is. They're 3-0 Bills going against 0-3 Saints, and you honestly hope that's already taken the sails out of, a little wind out of the sail already, because, maybe you don't feel like you need to be that hyped up, but the Saints are going to have to play with that tempo up face, because we know who the Bills fans are, and they're going to scream their lungs out and everything like that, and you got a second-year quarterback. That's where all these problems. The penalties, I mean, I know I said let's not talk about the penalties, and I'm not going to try to go into them too much right now, because I'm sure we all want to leave penalties for later, but if there's a game where the Saints are going to have a problem on penalties, it's probably going to be in Buffalo. It's probably going to be if you're not running that tempo, because if you're not running that tempo and everybody's doing pre-snap movements, everything like that, you can't hear Rattler, that's when it's going to become an issue. So I think actually the tempo for the Saints is going to have to be more important than ever this week than it has been. You just have to get it right, and your guys have to be ready for it ahead of time, because I mean it's been too many illegal formations, things like that. It's not even just the false starts, illegal formation, all these other pre-snaps that kind of have screwed you over before. The Saints really need to get it right, because you're going against one of the loudest fan bases in the league, against one of the fastest paced teams. They put up how many points are they averaging? 34 points per game. Their offense is scoring, and they score fast too. So the Saints definitely, I think, will have to do that up tempo, slow down the defense, get the stuff going. And I think this is the game that they're going to have to get it right.
Yeah, and I just one of the other things I want to say real quick. So on Twitter, Hayden Winks of Underdog, he had a tweet, and it was the Saints are a modern NBA team, all pace, fast break, by far the fastest paced offense, and the chart was offensive play volume, and the Saints are far and ahead, top right, just like you see it. There are not great teams around them. I mean, it's the Cowboys, and then if you go more towards the middle, that's where the great teams are. I think this could be Kellen Moore's kind of baby. This could be Kellen Moore's thought process of hey, this is what I want to do with this offense. I think the issue is, and this is something new, in the scouting worlds, what players we're going to be looking at for the draft, what players we're going to be looking at in free agency. But I think this may be what this offense is built around. And now we have to think of who's on this offense, and are the players currently on this offense correct for this scheme? And that's kind of going to be a new thought process, because now I'm looking at this a little bit differently, where now it makes sense why Kellen Moore went for short, speedy receivers and not really the big body receiver, because that kind of his pace, you're just trying to get them fast, open, quick shots everywhere. And is the offensive line set up that way? I think the running backs are set up that way. Is Spencer Rattler the correct QB for this? Is Tyler Shuck the perfect QB for this? And that's why Kellen Moore drafted him. This could kind of, okay, are they playing the Cowboys or the Eagles offense? Are they using that offense? No, they're using Kellen Moore's offense. And I think, and I said from the beginning of the season, that Kellen Moore starts really slow with his scheme on a new team. It's what we've seen. The Eagles were bad at the beginning of the year. The Saints almost beat them last year. It was not a good game. Without Eric McCoy, and Cesar Ruiz got injured, and everyone was injured. It was a horrible game. And clearly, Kellen Moore needs to get used to that. And these are going to be the growing pains. And I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see it a little bit unlocked at the end of the season. Do I think it's going to happen against the Bills? No. Do I think it needs to happen against the Bills? Yes.
Yeah, look, I think partially why this offense is ran is because Spencer Rattler is your quarterback, and because Tyler Shuck is behind him, because you got young guys. Again, you don't want them having to make all these hard decisions, staring down 11 defenders. You want the play to kind of be designed for them. And, we know Spencer Rattler is a smart quarterback. Spencer Rattler will go through his progressions, find his guy, but this kind of offense makes it easier for them. And, a lot of people want to slow it down for them, but if you speed it up, you speed it up, you have a design play, you have all of this scheduled, and you stay on schedule, the offense works. The problem is the Saints haven't been able to stay on schedule, and it's not because of the offense. Because of the penalties. I'm going to keep going back to it. It is. But like you said, Caleb, if he finally gets to his offense the way he started slow, start slow with the Chargers, started slow with the Eagles, started slow with the Cowboys, if he finally gets this offense that he has, the idea for this offense going, where you're no longer facing 3rd and 12s because you're getting false starts and everything, and it's polished and it works, then this offense could be very lethal. And I think you have the right guys. If it's Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler, I think they could both do it. I think specifically both of them have a versatility that they can use, not necessarily will always use. And I think they're both smart quarterbacks, both younger guys, but they each stayed in college for 5 years. So guys that I think can and will eventually get their chance. But let's actually, before that, Drew, I almost skipped over you. You go ahead and talk about what you're previewing, what you're looking for.
The thing I'm most looking for, Carl Granderson and Cam Jordan, they started the year out strong. The first 2 weeks, Granderson was tied for the league lead in sacks. But that last Seahawks game, Sam Darnold had an infinite amount of time. Just sit in the pocket, evaluate, and kill the defense. If the pass rush gives Josh Allen that opportunity, the Bills' offense might drop 60. Like they might be up to 70-point range that we saw I believe it was the Dolphins score a couple years ago against the Broncos. So this pass rush, they need to get back there. They cannot let Josh Allen just kill this weak defensive back room. You need to see Granderson. He's going to be going up against Deion Dawkins or someone like that who's a very good tackle in the league. But you're just going to need to see some pressure being forced. Brian Brzee on Osiris Torrance, something like that. Find a matchup you like, and I want to see Brandon Staley attack that matchup and just make Josh Allen feel something. You cannot let him get up, scramble out of the pocket, throw it deep. You have to make him nervous, have to be getting to him.
And the issue is you can't blitz because Josh Allen will just pick you apart. And like, I think that was the issue in the 49ers game for me. Like, Brandon Staley did not blitz enough. I really think there should have been more blitzes because the pass rush still wasn't winning. They were kind of getting cleanup sacks, which has been the issue. And I think that this game could get ugly because I don't know. Like, I can see Granderson win sometimes and then Brian Brzee win sometimes, but like, who else is there that's going to win reps and who's going to do it? Like, I don't see it, and that's a really big issue, and that's why we've been knocking or throwing hints out of like, hey, the Saints are going to go with edge rusher in next year's draft because like it's such a glaring issue, and with cornerback being such a glaring issue, the fact that edge rusher is even more of an issue. And I know Chase Young is out, but Chase Young is not going to fix everything. He's going to improve it. He's not going to fix it. He's probably going to make it like the second biggest issue on the defense, but it's still going to be an issue.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can't blitz Josh Allen. You can't sit back and let Josh Allen look. He's one of those. He's one of those ones, man. He could run the ball. He could throw the ball, and that's going to be. I'm glad you brought it up, Drew, because the Saints got to stop him as a runner. I mean, look what Mac Jones became against the Saints. Look, like the Saints have to be able to step up and just stop Josh Allen. To me, I think you have to put. I think otherwise. I think you have to pressure him because, I mean, what Nick said, 74 completion percentage, 7-point yards an attempt every time he sits back. I don't know. Look, I don't know how you stop at Josh Allen. He's one of those ones. So I guess you kind of may have to make the adjustments, but maybe get a hit on him early, to kind of make – that's kind of the game plan. You should get a hit on him early. I'm not saying hurt him. I'm saying make him know that the pass rush is there. The pass rush is going to be there. Hit him and early on kind of shake him up so that later in the line, maybe he decides to play it safer, things like that. And that's what the defense coordinator is probably going to be telling us. Brandon says, like, you have to put pressure. You have to make him feel uncomfortable because Josh Allen is one of those quarterbacks that, he will sit there and he'll sit in the pocket. He'll throw it. He'll also escape the pocket, run for 20 yards. He'll escape the pocket, throw across his body and make a 70-yard completion. He's one of those. He's an MVP for a reason. I don't know how to stop him, but I know for sure the Saints can't let him get out of the pocket. Keep him in the pocket and make him be a pocket passer, which isn't fully Josh Allen's game.
So here's the issue. I think Josh Allen's like Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel said this like last year in the interview with I forget who, but he said like every game at Texas A&M he would need to get hit and then he would lock in. Like I think that's Josh Allen, where like you hit him and then he's just locked in the rest of the game, and that's scary because when Johnny Manziel was locked in, that man was the best quarterback in the world. Like so, if Josh Allen's like that, I don't want to hit him. I'm scared of doing that.
Yeah, I don't know how to stop Josh Allen, man.
No, you can't.
I'm just talking. I'm saying
the only way you win this game is if the Bills wide receivers don't do well and drop the ball.
They cannot catch.
They are not the greatest like wide receiver person. Like that's an unbelievable thing. And if you stop the run, kind of, and the Saints offense is clicking, like that's how you win. But we'll get into it in a little bit.
Because
I don't think we think that's gonna happen.
You truly don't want a motivated Josh Allen against you. You're already an 0-3 team, right?
Don't fight with the Bills players.
You might be right. Just play it stale, bore them out, right? Just play it, bore them out, and then hopefully that will work. I don't know.
Have them wear a 200 rushing yard game and just run the clock out.
It just play 3-man rush. Throw everybody back there and just bore them out. Really do the. All right, let's go to our trivia. Before, does anybody want to say anything before we move on to trivia? All right, let's go into trivia. This one shouldn't be too hard, but I want to let everybody know we are starting now something new. Where eventually we're gonna go through, see who's gotten the most right. I wonder who it is, right? We're gonna try to guess, and then from there keep track of who's getting the trivia's the right the most. All right. I started us with a pretty simple one this week, just because we're gonna get back on track. And I kind of threw a curveball at Caleb last week, and he wouldn't get it. But I started out. This player started his career as a Saint, was a Charger, a Bill, and then a Saint again.
Saints to Saints Chargers. Bill? Is it a running back?
It is not a running back.
I really thought it was running back.
Wait till we get to years, guys. Let me know when you want the years.
2024.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, just give years, I guess.
Years. We all go for all right. Saints from 2018 to 2021. Charger from 2022 to 2023. The Bills in 2024 and the Saints in 2025.
He's a Saint. Oh, no.
He's a Saint
Who's
from
a
2025.
Bills and a Saint now? Or at least he was cut. Is he like currently on the Saints?
I don't know. I think so. Let me see.
Am I stupid?
I believe he is. Yeah, he is currently on the Saints. You guys want college?
Yes.
All right. Are you guys ready to all get it at once? He's an LSU Tiger.
Will Clapp.
No.
It is Will Clapp. Yeah, Will Clapp.
I forgot he's on the Saints. I was thinking of him earlier.
Yeah, he
Did
was on
you
the
say Bill?
Bills. Yeah, he was on the Bills last year.
I completely forgot he was on the
The
Saints.
Chargers. It was Saints Chargers.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been injured. I totally forgot.
Saints.
I completely forgot he was on the
I
Saints.
have his jersey. I have his LSU jersey. I should know this.
Yeah, he is a current
I
Saint.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Hold on real quick.
He's gonna go grab the jersey.
I need to find this thing.
He got brought back one day, and then he just hasn't been talked about ever since.
Yep, he actually has the jersey. It'd be funny if he was hanging in the back. Honestly, that would have been that would have been the best. All right, let's go to their key matchups. I actually want to talk about mine because kind of Nick talked about him a little bit earlier, and I talked about him another episode. This has to be the Chris Olave game. Look, he is leading the league in targets in general, not just like top 5, and he is leading the league in targets. He has 37 targets. Trey McBride and JSN both played last week, or played Thursday. Yeah, they both played Thursday last night, and they are still behind. Trey McBride with 35, Olave with 37. And, I mean, to make it matters worse, of the 37 targets Olave has, he only has 165 yards. A tight end, Trey McBride, of his 35 targets, he has 234 yards. The Saints aren't efficiently getting Olave the ball. That's the problem. And I get ideas what they're going for is this fast-paced offense, and he's doing a lot of shorter stuff. And Olave can do that. He's a great route runner, and I don't blame him for doing that. But Olave needs to also take the top off. He has a lot of speed. He ran a 4.3 40. Olave, I think the Saints need to get Olave started, get him ready. He can be one of the league's top receivers. He should be up there right now with Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams. Both of those guys have big contracts, earned big contracts. Olave dealt with injury last year, and then this year he wasn't able to do it. He only has 49 yards after catch. Right? There's a big problem with that. The Saints need to get him going. They need to get him set up. He's only averaging 7.2 yards average. I think this is the Olave game. I think he has a good matchup. Like we said, the Bills' defense hasn't been great. They have been subject to the deep ball. They have, and they've been subject to the run, the deep ball. They haven't been great as a unit and as all. And I think this is where you get Olave started. You get Olave set up and finally get him so he can see those targets again this game. It just needs to be efficient. He's kind of been messed over in terms of touchdowns. There was twice where he's kind of there. He was ready for the touchdown, and the throw has been each time behind him a little bit. Once in the end zone when he was wide open, and he had to try to make the adjustment, couldn't bring it in. Another one when he beat I forgot who the corner was, but beat him on a slant, and the ball was just a little bit behind and slapped away. I think Olave's kind of got the short end of the stick as being a receiver on this team for a little bit for the season. I think the Saints could get him right, and he has a good matchup this week.
Guys, want to be kind of devil's advocate with Olave? Because this week, I've actually been thinking about that more. Like this conversation of all of us kind of wanting him to have more receiving yards. I actually kind of like what they're doing right now, because I think if there was a more touchdowns, because I don't think Olave has scored a touchdown yet. I think if he had 3 touchdowns with this stat line, I would be fine with it. Because I think this is what Olave's going to be in this offense. I think he's going to be this. You get him involved throughout the game, but yes, here and there he might have a wide open deep route, and you should hit that. And sometimes you don't, and sometimes you do. And I honestly think that he is getting open, and it's just not being hit. But I actually don't mind it just because. Like he's getting involved in the offense. I mean, when Kellen Moore was with the Eagles, there would be so many games where A.J. Brown wasn't involved, and A.J. Brown would be livid on the sideline. And I think I'm more happy that Olave's even involved in this offense, and it's more Rashid Shaheed. I am confused about that he's not getting these deep throws to him, because that's more Rashid Shaheed's game than Olave's game. Like we are finally utilizing Olave's route running more. And I think that's a positive. But I also understand, like, he should be one of the best receivers in this league. And his stat line should show that. But I also kind of like what he's in his offense.
Yeah. Go ahead. Kyle.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the numbers before I went real quick again, because Olave, Jawan, and Shaheed are all top 40 in terms of targets. Obviously, we know Spencer Rattler's throwing the ball a lot. And unfortunately for Olave, he's just been the most inefficient to getting him the ball. Jawan Johnson has 28 targets. He has 19 receptions. Shaheed has 20 targets, and he has 14 receptions. So getting the ball to him has been pretty efficient. It's just for Olave, who has 14 incompletions when targeted. And like I said, we watched it, and it's kind of been like, it's not fully on Olave. And I don't know if there's like maybe a mix of chemistry. It could be sense of depth of routes, right? It could be something like that where we don't fully know what it is, or maybe Olave's taking too much depth, not enough depth on his routes, where is a thing of chemistry. But he hasn't been efficient when being targeted, despite being the most targeted receiver in the league. And I think they need to efficiently get the ball into Olave's hands. I do like the idea of getting the ball in Olave's hands short. It doesn't have to be a lot of yards. It just has to be efficient. He's got 14 incompletions target him. He's averaging quick math is like a little less than 5 incompletion targets towards him per game. And again, 49 yards after catch has kind of been the problem, because catch and sit down. That's kind of been his game. And look, I'm glad he's protecting himself, and that's kind of what this is too, is protecting. But we saw that's not even fully the case in week 1, where he got slapped around a couple times, right? So I just think the Saints need to efficiently get him the ball more. I think Shaheed and Jawan Johnson are both guys where the ball, they're seeing a big share of targets, but it's just more efficient.
Yeah, now kind of switch topics to my matchup that I'll be looking out for. I'll be watching how the Saints run defense fares up against James Cook and the Bills' deadly rushing attack. James Cook is second in the league with 284 rushing yards and tied for the league lead with 4 rushing touchdowns so far. The Bills, have just done an outstanding job developing him since his rookie season. And right now, the Saints defense is tied 12th for fewest rushing yards allowed, with 310 rushing yards allowed and just 3.6 yards per carry, which is an immense improvement from last season, where the Saints were allowing the most rushing yards in the league at this point, and finished the season with 5.2 yards per carry, 4.2 yards per carry, or I think it was 4.6. But either way, it wasn't good. This year, they clearly put an emphasis on that this offseason. It didn't start great in week 1, but we've seen it get better. That's very encouraging to see, but they will have their biggest task ahead right now in week 4, against the Buffalo Bills, with James Cook looking to make he's looking like an all-pro right now, and the Saints run defense is going to have a huge task on their hands.
Yeah, I very much doubt that it's going to be a good game by the run defense. Just because you also have to worry about any play action with Josh Allen running, and it's just this is a tough game for the defense. And my matchup, speaking of the defense, is the Saints DBs against the Bills wide receivers. Less about Josh Allen in this conversation, more about the Bills wide receivers, because look, it's a weird group. They're a good group, but also they're an underperforming group at times. And it's like Keon Coleman has struggled throughout his career. I'm fairly certain he's doing better this season. I do not want Kool McKinstry on him. Kool McKinstry should not be covering him. The height difference it's not a good matchup. Now it's a perfect matchup for Quincy Riley. It is the matchup. That is why you get Quincy Riley. Quincy Riley has the height. He has the ability to cover contested catch threats. Do it. Alontae Taylor won't be able to do it. I think Adam won't be able to do it. Put Quincy Riley there. Now, I would say put Kool-Aid McKinstry on Khalil Shakir, who's another amazing wide receiver. And that's going to be an issue, because they also have who's the third wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Also, I said Quincy Riley's height. Quincy Riley's 5'11". What am I saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. He can still cover contested catch threats more. I remember seeing that in his. I literally had to look it up just to make sure because I was getting mixed up. He can still cover contested catch threats. I honestly think better than Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think it's still better. And then they have who's the third wide receiver on the Bills again? It is. It's not. Joshua Palmer.
Josh Palmer.
Oh, yeah.
Then Curtis Samuel's behind him.
These are 4 real wide receivers that you need to worry about, and I think it's a big game for Alontae Taylor, whoever he covers. It's a big game for Kool McKinstry, whoever he covers, and a big game for either Isaac Adam or Quincy Riley. This is a matchup nightmare for the Saints, in my opinion. And I think it goes down to this is kind of an issue we've seen for a while, where the Saints don't deal or cannot deal with wide or receivers with size. And by the way, they still have a great tight end room. It's like
3 of them now.
Who's going to cover the tight ends? And is this the Jonas Sanker game? Please put Jonas Sanker on these tight ends. It's all I want to see. Do it. Why not?
Look,
I think you can deal with it.
Every reason that you just described is why. Look, and we talked about Nick and how Josh Allen's so efficient against zone, but every reason you just described is why the Saints are going to be playing a lot of zone against Josh Allen.
100%.
Because
100%.
Look, so the best cornerback that you could possibly put on the height difference for Keon Coleman would be Alontae Taylor. That's the guy that's got the size and the length to keep up and do that. But that's your slot guy, right? You can't do that. That's what makes this matchup so difficult, because they don't have three bad receivers. They don't have one great receiver. They have 3 good wide receivers, 3 promising, a lot of potential between them all. At any given Sunday, one of these guys could be wide receiver 1. Khalil Shakir could be wide receiver 1. Keon Coleman could be wide receiver 1. And it could be an impressive wide receiver 1 game. All these guys can do that. And that's why we're going to see a lot of zone from the Saints and kind of limiting what they can do and just stopping that high explosive offense. And honestly, like I said, bore Josh Allen out, because that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to force them to run the ball. Unfortunately, they're a very good running team, like we were saying. It's going to be a difficult matchup, right? Because the Saints haven't been doing too great as a pass defense, despite they've only allowed 210 yards per game this season, pass defense. But that's also in part of 71 completion percentage and 7 touchdowns compared to no interceptions. I love that you named the Saints cornerbacks as a standout, because yes, they need to get takeaways. That is my way to, if you want to win, if you want to make this game anything, the Saints DBs need to create turnovers, takeaways, make mistakes, make them take a deep shot when the deep shot's not really there. Because if the chance that Quincy Riley starts, right, you have a second-year quarterback, a rookie cornerback, a rookie safety starting. Alontae Taylor's still on his rookie contract. A lot of guys in your secondary on rookie contracts. And that's going to be the difference, because Josh Allen is a veteran quarterback, an MVP, and he's just going to have to work his way around a bunch of young guys.
And Josh Allen will throw it in harm's way. You can get interceptions on Josh Allen. It's been the thing for his career. So obviously, he's definitely a way they could do it. And I think also that people are kind of going at Brandon Staley's neck a little too fast right now. This is not slow down a little bit. This is something we saw in LA, and it's the reason one of the many reasons Brandon Staley got fired from the Chargers was that the defense wasn't good and he was a defensive coach. The main reason the defense wasn't good, there were so many injuries, and they did not have the roster. Brandon Staley is one of those coaches that you kind of have to have good players to make his defense really click. And the issue is that he has just made all these man corners play zone primarily. And it is not working because they are not used to it. And I don't think the Saints have the correct group right now for almost the whole defense besides the safety room and linebackers are not kind of correct for this Brandon Staley defense, in my opinion. So like relying on the cornerbacks to play zone this game is quite literally the recipe for failure. Like it's not going to work. And I don't know how it would work. Now, again, this is why you draft Quincy Riley. If Brandon Staley saw, hey, he could play zone, he is the perfect corner for my defense. It's the reason that they went for Asante Samuel Jr. in free agency and that whole injury fiasco. So we don't know what's happening there. But there's a reason they had interest in him. He formerly played with Brandon Staley. He was a Brandon Staley drafted guy and shined in his defense. Like, I don't think Brandon Staley has the pieces right now. And it's so scary to rely on a bunch of players that are not used to zone, struggling in zone, against a quarterback that destroys zone. Like, it's not going to work. Like, that is like what I'm looking at. If it works, then I feel better about the rest of the season somehow.
Yeah, last part of the Josh Allen, even though this was wide receivers versus cornerbacks, last part of Josh Allen is he, despite, career turnover guy, 0 interceptions this season, hasn't thrown one yet. The Saints have to be the first team to get a takeaway off of Josh Allen. And of course, you're just going to have to bore him out and force him to take something that's not there. That's kind of the way. That's why. And I believe that's probably what's been happening the whole season. I'd have to watch more Bills games, but he's being so efficient against zone, and he's probably facing a lot of zone. Every other defense coordinator is like, we're not going to give Josh Allen a deep ball. We're not going to let them put up 30. He's a great quarterback, so he found a way to do it anyways. So I think the Saints they need to be the team to get the first turnover from Josh Allen, and get a takeaway. And that's their chance to win. Is you got to slow them down and make plays.
Need to get those turnovers, and kind of leads into my next positional battle or matchup, and that's once again going to be the pass rush against the Bills' offensive line, but particularly at the right tackle position. Their starter, Spencer Brown, injured his calf in their last week's win, and he still has not played yet this week in practice. So he's likely going to be out unless we see something drastic change. But their backup right tackle is listed as Chase Lunt, who is a sixth round rookie out of UConn. He's a huge tackle, 6'7", 304 pounds, 25 years old, so he's super young. But you can attack that. Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, all of them can go right after him. And that's where you're going to get pressure. Deion Dawkins is not going to allow much. You have got to attack Chase Lunt. And I feel like winning with speed on the outside, Chase Lunt, he's powerful, he's strong, he's big, but he still needs to be refined a lot in his pass protection. That's what I remember being a big topic about his draft kind of profile last year. Great run blocker. He just needs to refine his technique, needs to be more secure and pass protection. And the Saints have a chance to exploit that. If they want to force Josh Allen into turnovers, they need to get pressure on him. And that's just going to be their best way.
I have a question, Drew. Real quick. Would you rather have Carl Granderson on Dawkins and Cam Jordan on Lunt, or the other way around?
I mean, so I feel like with Granderson, you'd get more immediate pressure, but I think Cam Jordan, with how good his technique is, could consistently win too. So I think the Saints have to evaluate. I doubt Deion Dawkins is going to give up much pressure. If you're lucky, you might get 2 pressures in a game for whoever's over there. So I think honestly switching between the two of more of a power speed rush from Granderson and more of a technique refined rush from Jordan would be very beneficial. Keep Chase Lunt guessing and really I feel like that's their best way to maximize their pressures.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it would also be real quick. Sorry, again, I cut you off.
No,
but
you're good.
I also I completely agree. Like, I think Granderson on Dawkins, just because I think the odds are better that if he does let up a rush, it's going to be Granderson that gets it. But I also think that's kind of where you could do like a stunt where Granderson kind of goes around and then Brian Brzee goes to the outside. And then Granderson just destroys the guard and then gets to Josh Allen. Like in the Dennis Allen defense, there was, hey, I'm going to have 4 people on this defensive line. Go win your matchup. There was nothing. So like now, and we saw it in game 1, there's a lot more defensive line movement and there's a lot more things going on there that I think they can manufacture some wins, because that's been something they're missing also.
And I was only just going to bring up because Cam Jordan actually appeared on the injury report this week. And he was full participant. He played. It is a groin injury, however. But I was going to name he looked like he didn't miss any practice time, but I was going to name Jordan as actually great to go against their 6th-round rookie. Jordan, in a lot of career technique, but he's also got a lot of power. That's kind of been his thing. He's a big guy. He's got a lot of power, forced a lot of power. And against a 6th-round rookie whose technique's probably not polished yet, you could really get him off his feet quickly. And I think that's a good matchup for Cameron Jordan, actually. And Carl Granderson he has superstar potential in sense of a pass rush. We've seen it, or at worst, star potential. Right? So I think he can win some over Deion Dawkins. I 100% think he could. I think he can have a good day, depending how he feels, how he wakes up. But Cameron Jordan going against a 6th-round rookie, I mean, look, there's nearly 20 years of experience, right? Right there, a lot of power, and he may be a big tackle, but I think Cameron Jordan's got a lot of power. Power versus technique would win, and I think Cameron Jordan is a good matchup there. So I think the Saints can get the pressure, and I think that's going to be, again, part of taking turnovers is getting pressures, because you just can't let Josh Allen feel comfortable.
Also, put Christian Boyd out there, please. Put him on the defensive line. If you're not going to stop this run. Not gonna hurt. Why not? I'm not a fan of this interior defensive line anyway. Like, just see what you have, and like maybe he got one of the best players of the preseason for the Saints. You throw him out there, and if he could get some pass rush as a run defender next to Brian Brzee, now your pass rush is a bit better, because now they have to worry about the interior defensive line, which Devon Godchaux is not going to be that person to win pass reps. He's the run defender. He's the pure run defender. And Nathan Shepard is Nathan Shepard. Like, I don't think he's going to be this big play guy. So I might as well try it with Christian Boyd.
I'm fully expecting to see Christian Boyd, Devin Neal on the inactives list and just be so disappointed.
Imagine Quincy Riley.
They shouldn't. Quincy Riley, Devin Neal, Christian Boyd, and it's just over.
Good. I think. I do think this is a chance for Danny Stutzman to get a little more play, just because you need someone to watch Josh Allen, and so Danny Stutzman's got the speed to possibly
James Cook
take him over.
He's a good run defender.
Yeah. So
Saints need Harold Perkins in this game. Saints need QB spy Harold Perkins, then that may work.
All right, but are we missing anyone else? Did everybody do their key matchups? We'll go ahead to our final predictions. So who's going to do it? Who's going to say it? All right, there's 4 of us here picking winners for Sunday. Who's saying it? It's not going to be me. All right, you go ahead, Nick, and start us off.
All right. Well, I'll start us off with the boldest prediction of the day. I have the winless Saints heading into Buffalo and shocking the unbeaten Bills. Look, you don't know what to expect in the NFL. This just feels like one of those trap games for the Bills. I'm going to lean towards the optimistic side, and I'm going to say the Saints come out with a win and turn their season around, even though I don't believe it. But I also say, yes, have to keep
vibes high. There we go.
Any given Sunday.
And I also have Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills throwing their first interception of the season, making the Bills' first turnover of the season and Saints defense's first interception of the season. Like Caleb said, Josh does put the ball in harm's way. It just has not yet been intercepted this season. There were actually a couple of throws against the Ravens that should have been picked off. So I believe that this could be the game that it happens. Then I also have Blake Grupe missing another field goal and Charlie Smith finally taking over as the starting kicker of the New Orleans Saints. I believe Blake Grupe has missed a field goal in each week this season. Yep. I could be mistaken, but I believe he has. And you just can't have that in your starting kicker. And Charlie Smith has been developing on the bench. I think it might be time.
Yeah, look, that was the boldest prediction, right? But it look, to be fair, saying your bold prediction, Josh Allen throwing the turnover, that they go hand in hand. The Saints don't win unless they force a turnover. The Saints aren't out rushing the Bills. You're not beating them to 30, right? You need to force them to turn the ball over, and that's going to be the way the Saints win. So 100%, it makes sense. And look, I'm a any given Sunday guy all the time. The Browns just beat the Packers 13-10 last week, right? It happens because you let things go. Look, it's all about matchups. Now, I don't think the Saints match up well against them, but it's all about matchups, and that's just how it. And if someone's feeling great this Sunday, and you wake up and you're feeling great, and Chris Olave goes for 245 and 3 touchdowns, who says the Saints can't win, right? And that's why it's any given Sunday to me. And look, last week was a fluke. I'm gonna say it. Last week was a fluke because you don't go down 21-0 like that every Sunday. That's not a thing. That is a once in a year type of thing for most of the time. Now, look, the Saints probably could have still lost last week. I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm saying losing 44-13 happened because they went down 21-0. I don't think the Saints are as bad as 32 in the league. I don't. I know power rankings say that now. You look at the box score, that was a terrible game for the Saints. Now, with being said, I don't think the Saints will win, but I think they can. I give the Bills a run for their money. I think the Bills obviously have to try, right? There's never a game you don't have to try, but this isn't SEC versus the Mountain West, right? This isn't that, right? This is 2 NFL teams, fully talented, all guys. Now, the Saints have a young coach, they have a young quarterback, and I think mistakes are going to get in the way of them winning just because you're in Buffalo. You're going to be running this offense that you haven't been able to polish out yet. My bold prediction, it's not Chris Olave 245 yards, but it is Chris Olave 130 yards with a touchdown. I think he finally does get going this week. And I think the Saints lose. I'll keep them 30-21, right? I think that's a reasonable guess. I think the Bills put up 30. I think the Saints can put up 3 touchdowns on the day. Chris Olave gets his game. Then hopefully from here, it's a spark of let's turn it around going forwards.
Yeah, and I did forget to add a score prediction, so I'm going to go 24-21 Saints.
God, you guys are way closer than me. Yeah, so I'll start with my bold prediction. I have 2. It might be even bolder than the Saints winning. I have Kellen Moore going for it on 4th down in the red zone before he has to in the 4th quarter. I think it's going to be like we saw it at the 4-yard line last week, but we didn't see it in the red zone when Kellen Moore decided to kick some field goals. Like, I think this is the week he saw that was a mistake, clearly. I think this is the week that Saints are down 14 or down even 7 at the 20-yard line of the Bills in the Bills red zone, and it's 4th and 2. They're not kicking the field goal, or 4th and 4. I don't think they kick the field goal. I think they go for it there. I think Kellen Moore saw that there was a mistake no matter what, and now you do it. You trust your offense, whatever. Even if he doesn't work out, hey, I'd rather see that. My second bold prediction is that rookie running back Devin Neal will get his first career touchdown in the NFL. I think it was another mistake keeping him off this roster in the game last week. I think I really like the Saints running game in this matchup. Like, if that was the one thing, I like that. I think the Saints running game can do well. I think Alvin Kamara's going to have a big game. I think Kendrick Miller's going to have a big game. But I do believe that if the Saints get in the red zone, it's going to be a situation where they just need to run down the middle, and Devin Neal's your guy. So I could easily see that happen. Now, with the score, I think it's going to be 34-14. I don't think Blake Ruby's going to score a field goal in this. I think the Bills are going to win by a lot. I'll take a 34-14 loss in this game. Like, I still believe that's the defense not playing well and the offense playing well. And that's enough for me. I'd rather go into this game with a loss and see the defense not play well, which we expect, and the offense playing well, which makes us feel better about the future.
Okay, I want to bring up something from my very preliminary research. So the spread of this game is -16.5. I did some research to find out the biggest spread that a team lost by, and I found +18. So the team favored 18 points lost. The Bills are favored 16.5. So this would be a massive upset, like one of the greats. And I just don't think the Saints are going to do it. But so I'm going for my prediction. The Devin Neal one's amazing. I love that one. I would be ecstatic no matter what the score is for that. But I'm going to go Alvin Kamara rushes for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns as my prediction. And the final score, I'm going 42-17. I think the defense is gonna struggle, which I wouldn't mind that. That'd be fine. Not the worst case scenario, but yeah, I don't think this one's gonna be close. I'm high on the Bills this year.
I took a way different route than y'all.
You did.
I think me and you are a little closer than they are.
It got progressively worse.
I hope.
It did get progressively worse. That's
It's It's just the
I just don't see
defense,
it.
man. Like I
see
don't
it.
like again, I could see the offense doing something. And that's again, as I said, that's all I care about in this game, honestly. I don't if the Saints win, I'm running down the street happy. Great, wonderful. But I don't believe in any way, shape, or form they're going to win. Now, you take small wins from a matchup like this. That's kind of what you have to do. If Spencer Rattler's on target and he looks like he's step for step with Josh Allen. Oh my, whoa! There's a whole. Spencer Rattler's had one I wouldn't like. He had 2 fine games and 1 great game. That's better than what any of us thought. So if he has another great game against the Bills, you feel more comfortable about that, and you kind of see the offense in rhythm, and Kellen Moore's offense starts to get unlocked. Like if I see that and Kellen Moore not making mistakes like he's been, I'll take that 100%. I don't care about the final score. I care about that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've been saying is, at the end of the day, the Saints aren't going to be competing in the Super Bowl this year. I think we all feel pretty comfortable saying that. We just want to see development, and we want to see competitiveness, right? I'm sorry,
I was actually just about to say, we're probably going to look at this game like we are the entire season. You're looking at positive signs. You're not looking for a win or a loss here, and that's kind of what we've been reiterating this entire offseason.
And look, if this is a close loss, like,
oh my gosh, yes.
I don't care. Motivation
I'll take that as a win.
Honestly, that's the perfect thing.
So high.
Keep our draft.
You are 0-4. Oh, keep your
That's
You're
great.
0-4, and you keep motivation high. Like you just look. The Bills are my Super Bowl pick this year. I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year. So if you keep it close to a Super Bowl winning team, that you're going to keep motivation high. And I truly think the motivation isn't like destroyed in this locker room yet. Last week was bad. Last week was bad. But I truly think that we're getting to a point that it could be fine. And I think if this is a close loss, like I'm taking a close loss over any large loss and take positives from anything else. I don't care if the defense plays well. I don't care if the offense plays well. If it's a close loss, I'm happy also.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think that's going to wrap us up. We hope you guys tune in for our potentially first live post-game show. We're still talking it over. I think we're heading towards that direction. I think everybody kind of wants to do a live next week.
This week soon.
Maybe if they lose by 50, we might skip this week. But, with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Join us either Saturday night or Monday morning. No matter what, it's going to be posted Monday morning on the Be in the Know YouTube channel. And with that being said, hope the Saints can come out with some type of surprise for us on Sunday. And you guys have a good one.